prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout. They walked out and they fell out. Keep your hands on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. I said hold on. Hold on. Well, the only chains I can stand are when we're walking hand in hand. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Wouldn't take nothing from my journey now. I got my hand on the plow. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. I said hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on, I said, hold on, hold on, keep your eye on the prize, 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 hold on.
When your world is tumbling down, I said, here's my secret. When I wanna cry, I take a look around and I see that I'm getting by, and I hold on, hold on. Change is coming, change is coming. Hold on, hold on. Everything, don't worry about a thing. Hold on, hold on. You can make it, you can make it. Hold on, hold on. Everything.
Some people like to worry. Some people like to hide. Some people like to run away from the pain inside. Now that's your business. Do whatever you want to do. But if it don't work out, oh, here's what I want you to do. Hold on, oh, change is coming. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Don't you worry. Bring it down. Now everybody in the room, if you've lived long enough, you've been through some things. And we are here this morning to recognize and celebrate Ujamaa Place. And I need your help this morning. Would you help me just a little bit? Just a little bit. If you really believe in the mission of Ujamaa Place, you've already proven that this morning by being here at 7 a.m. I just need you to wave your hands with me a little bit. Is that all right? Jay, come on and help me with this one. La, 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 hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Don't you worry about it. Hold on. You can make it. You can make it. Hold on. Everything will be alright. Hold on. Change is coming. Change is coming. Hold on. Don't you worry about it. Hold on. You can make it. You can make it. Hold on. Everything will be alright. Hold on. Thank you. The men of New Hope Baptist Church. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much. Outstanding men. We are pleased to have them this morning. They have a table out there with their new CD available to us. They are making a portion of their proceeds towards the donation of Ujamaa Place mission. Amen. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. As you continue to dine, we're going to start the program portion of our event. So let us begin to celebrate Ujamaa Place. And what a way to start it off. The one and only Chief John Harrington will officially kick off our morning. John Harrington was sworn in as the 7th Chief of Metro Transit Police in September of 2012. Mr. Harrington began his law enforcement career in 1977 with the St. Paul Police Department. In 2004, he became the 39th Chief of Police for the city of St. Paul, where he served until 2010. In November of last year, he was elected to represent District 67 in the Minnesota State Senate. Chief Harrington was one of the founders of Ujamaa Place and currently serves as the board chair. Please welcome to the platform, Chief John Harrington. Bless
you. Good morning. Oh, we can do better than that. Good morning. We had a joyous noise up here on the stage just a minute ago. Can we get a hand for Javita and the men of New Hope? I want to welcome you to Ujamaa Place's 4th annual Transforming Men's Breakfast. We are a family at Ujamaa. It really, truly is a joy to be part of the Ujamaa family, and the men that participate in Ujamaa are quite literally not just clients, but they are members of an extended family. And today we are having breakfast. We're breaking bread with our family. And like every other family, helicopter parents that we all are, we celebrate every step forward of Ujamaa men. So I want to thank you today. I want to also thank our hosts and our sponsors, University of St. Thomas Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the Catherine B. Anderson Fund and the St. Paul Foundation, and our Challenge Grant support. Eugene U. and Mary F. Fry Family Fund are all named sponsors of this event, and we could not be here today without their help. And also, the room is too big for me to be able to introduce everybody that actually needs to be recognized, so I'm just going to do this in groups. First of all, would all the Ujamaa men, would you all please rise, be recognized? You are here. That's the reason we are here. That's why this room is full today, is because of Ujamaa men. Most of you are here today because the table host brought you here. Would the table host please also rise? We are blessed to be joined by so many public officials that the list is long and notable, but would all of the elected and public officials please rise? See John Choi's here, Kristin Beckman, Supreme Court Natalie Hudson here. So many current and future elected officials all join us today. I include the Ujamaa men as part of that group. Come on now. So finally, I'd like to ask Ujamaa board to stand and the development committee that made this day possible to also stand and be recognized. And last but not least, the staff of Ujamaa Place, led by Otis Zanders, our CEO. Please stand and be recognized. It is my privilege to introduce our first speaker. Deputy Mayor Kristin Beckman. Unfortunately, Mayor Coleman could not make it today due to an illness, but Kristin Beckman has been at the table with us literally from day one. The mayor's office and Deputy Mayor Beckman in particular have made sure that we have had partnerships and linkages with the city officials, with government officials, and with the nonprofit world. And without further ado, Kristin Beckman.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. Good morning. Mayor Coleman sends his regards. He's very sorry he can't be here today, but as many of you know, I'd love to stand in for him, particularly when it is with Ujamaa Place. Ujamaa men are an asset to the city of St. Paul. We are grateful to them, and we are grateful to Ujamaa Place for all that they bring around our Ujamaa men and all that they bring to our community. As John said, Chief Harrington said, there is a deep partnership between the Ujamaa Place and Ujamaa men and the city. We have our fire chief here, our police chief here, our fabulous city attorney's office, so many people from the city, our parks director, our planning and economic development director. We believe in Ujamaa men. We are grateful for the partnership with Ujamaa Place, the buildings that they have on Selby, what they want to do, their vision. I was just in the office with Otis on Friday, and we were talking about the office space that they had come from and the fabulous office space that they're in now, how they're able to program, how it shows respect for the Ujamaa men and the work that they are doing there on themselves, their family, and their neighborhoods. And I'm excited about the vision that Otis and the team and the board have for how they want to grow and how they want to have more permanence in the city of St. Paul. And for 1 second, Otis said something about maybe partnering with somebody in Minneapolis. I found myself get incredibly turfy. You can't do that. You are an asset to us, and we are grateful for everything that Otis and everyone does. Please stay here, contribute, give. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day this morning, and I will turn it back over to who's next? Oh, this is the part the mayor forgot to tell me, was who I was going to hand it off to.
Hi, Deputy Mayor. Hi, I'm Sarah Caruso, head of the Greater Twin Cities United Way, which is bipartisan. You know, we go across the river, but as many people in the room know, I grew up in St. Paul, and my heart is still here. So I am thrilled to be here talking just for a minute about Greater Twin Cities United Way and why we are equally passionate supporters of Ujamaa Place. Our mission is to galvanize our community to build pathways towards prosperity and equity. Galvanize our community to build pathways towards prosperity and equity. What organization represents that ambitious mission better than Ujamaa Place? I've now been in this role for 8 years, and as I go around the community and listen, often I hear community leaders say, "What about our men? What about our African American men? We need to be supporting this group with especially deep thought and programming and support." I agree with that, and I hold up Ujamaa Place as one of the very best approaches to dealing with long-term systemic underperformance in our community. And what Ujamaa men, and I would suggest we not only at the end of this program applaud Ujamaa men, but give them a standing ovation, are doing to build prosperity and goodness in their lives is remarkable and truly represents a role model, I encourage, and commitment for all of us to follow. So at Greater Twin Cities United Way, we not only fund Ujamaa Place, we gave them one of our highest awards last year as an outstanding performing organization, and certainly that often starts with the executive director. So it is now my honor to introduce Otis Zanders, Ujamaa Place CEO and president.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm just overwhelmed to see you this morning. Thank you for getting up bright and early to come and celebrate our 4th annual
breakfast, that networking breakfast that we intend to demonstrate to you the talent and skills of our Ujamaa men. We're just overwhelmed by your support, and you're willing to come out and continue to extend it. As I look around the room, a lot of you are first-time visitors. Most of you are returning friends, but we're hoping that you leave today knowing that we appreciate you continuing to connecting with us. Just another point of thanks. I want to thank St. Thomas University and their president for allowing us to continue to use this forum to demonstrate our theory of transformation, a venue to invite you to, in comfort, to understand more about the Ujamaa story. I do want to thank them, and also Dr. Atika Taylor in her absence today. Also, I can't say enough about our president of our board, one of our founders, John Harrington, and all of our outstanding board of directors that's in our midst. They had this founding vision that all men should have the ability to live a prosperous life and to remove barriers on their road to prosperity. So I want to thank John and my standing board for their guidance and their continued support of our growth and our mission here. In the mention that Sarah also on so many of our other funders that we will acknowledge throughout this program, but we want you to know that it could not have been done without you. From the philanthropy community, as well as the government that's here in force today, that made us a part of their equity package that allowed us to stabilize our existence to move forward here. But most of all for you, the individual donors that have invested heavily in this mission. I'd be remiss if I didn't just acknowledge our table captain chairman. This chairperson is here, and that's Ellen Brown. Would Ellen please stand? Ellen. Thank you, Ellen. Just an outstanding job. I appreciate her for gathering you, our table captains, for you to gather your friends to come and share this day with us. And for you that serve as table captains, yes, she is just that tenacious and bossy year-round. So relax, and I'm glad that she got you here today. But she's outstanding. And also for my sister, my religious guidance, and Javita Steele for jump-starting this, for inviting her brother, Billy, and the men on New Hope Choir. Thank you guys so much. But we're here today to witness a little transformation. We have our men here ready to greet you, to answer your question you may have about us. We want you to know that you're here today, that you do not see our young men as former drug addicts, felons, or as people that have fallen the cliff. You see them as Ujamaa men. That you today provide us with the resources to be mentors and navigators. You see, I'm passionate about this work too because I too am a hidden figure as our men. That it wasn't for my good friend Dennis Benson, who's here today, that saw more than just Otis Anders. We saw a man that with mentoring and navigation, I can have a career that I've enjoyed and to be able to stand before you today. And I'm glad to see my mentors here today to celebrate this occasion with me. But it's not about me, it's about our men. And we want you to hear from our men, the Ujamaa men, to talk about their transformative journey. The first young man I'd like to bring up to you, speak to you a few moments in his own words, will be Jordito.
Good morning. This is my testimony about Ujamaa. My name is Janito Doe. I'm a Ujamaa man. I learned about Ujamaa Place through my pastor when I was seeking a job, and I became a member of Ujamaa Place, and I've been in the program about 7 months. I'm an example of what kind of man Ujamaa Place can produce. A man who cares about his community, his family, his friends, and strangers. When I came to Ujamaa, I had no job and no hope, and I didn't know that this program will meet my needs. But I was in for a surprise. Ujamaa Place met all my needs. Through faith, I put my energy into Ujamaa, and I reaped the rewards of housing, a job, and computer training. It is only right that Ujamaa Place continues to be in a community, not just for me, but for the future members and generations. I know that Ujamaa Place will take root like a tree in the lives of many and provide shade for those in need of it in the future and present. Ujamaa Place helped me to soar like an eagle above the sea of my problems. This is why I'm a Ujamaa man.
Thank you, Juanito. We'll take a quick pause and let you know that most of you in the audience know that this has been an outstanding week for Ujamaa Place. Through the financial assistance for the St. Paul Foundation African American Futures Initiative, we've been fortunate to bring in the King Center's Nonviolence 365 program. They have blessed these Twin Cities this week with their forethinking of how to resolve conflict, how to make a lifestyle of nonviolence. Before I introduce the Dr. King to come up and say a few words, I would like to just acknowledge our outstanding team that came in force that has blessed the Twin Cities. With the King team, please stand for a moment, please. I get a chance to spend some quality time with Dr. King this week, so when you know people for a couple of days, you don't have to go by script to introduce them. But just to get it right, Dr. Bernice King is the baby daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Bernice King is the chief executive officer of the King Center, which was founded by her mother in 1968. She was appointed to this position on January of 2012 by the Board of Trustees. Bernice is a graduate of Spelman College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology and a Master of Divinity and a Doctorate of Law from Emory University. She also received an honorary Doctorate of Divinity degree from Wesley College. In honor of her mother, Coretta Scott King, Bernice returned to her alma mater at Spelman College to announce the establishment of the Be a King Scholarship. She is also currently a member of the State Bar of Georgia and serves as on the Hope Southeastern Board of Directors, Operation Hope, and is a member of the International Women's Forum. Through her work at the King Center, Bernice has continued to educate youth and adults about nonviolence principles modeled by her parents. In 2014, as part of the King Center's Nonviolence Education and Training Initiatives, she launched Students with King, which enables students to interact with King, the King family, Ferris, and other people that's well known throughout their work with Dr. Martin Luther King. Will you please, Minnesota, help me with a warm welcome for Dr. Bernice King. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, good morning, Twin Cities. I tell you, it takes a lot to get me up this time of morning and out. So you must be pretty special. I want to first and foremost acknowledge my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, on this morning, because he is really responsible for who I am and where I am in my life. Let me just take a few moments to thank Otis, as well as Monique Linder, for making it possible for me and my team to be here for the last few days, working with some of the Ujamaa men and others with the work that we do through the King Center that was founded by my mother 2.5 months after my father was assassinated. And before I say anything else, I want to say to everyone gathered here today that the work that is being done through Ujamaa Place is so critical and important. And I want to encourage everyone in this room to support it on an ongoing basis. I know this is their only formal fundraiser, but I hope you will find it in your heart to contribute your time,
resources, your resources, your time, your resources, your time, and your talent. I work in the world of nonprofit, and we carry the name King, and some people think we have everything we need because of that, and it's not true. It's hard leading an organization in this country on the nonprofit side. What people fail to realize, it's a business. It has to be run like a business. It has overhead. And many times when we are interfacing with the world of contributors, we often discover that most people don't support the very core of what makes the machine go, the engine. They support the programming, which is essential, but without the engine, the program can't go. And so the operations is so critical. It takes people, it takes staff. Those staff have families, they have lives. And so it's so important that you come alongside, because unfortunately in the world of grants, operations is oftentimes not addressed. And so they need your support. And so I'm just asking on their behalf. They didn't ask me to do this. I felt led to do this, to say, please give your ongoing support to this organization. You can do it on a monthly basis, and it's well worth it, as you have heard and will hear. And I can just tell you, just from our personal experience with the group that we interface with and trained on the last 2 days in my father's philosophy and methodology, these are hungry men, and we also had a chance to be with some women. People don't have a choice oftentimes, or they don't have a choice as to what circumstance they are born in. They don't have a choice into the circumstance that they grow up in. And so we as a society have to find a way to transform situations so that individuals have opportunity and a chance to make it and be everything that God created them to be. There's a little saying that I heard a few years ago, and they had individuals who put their hands on themselves, and these individuals were caught up in the system, the criminal justice system, and they said, I may have done what you said I did, but I'm not who you say I am. And I say to that, but for God's grace, we could have ended up doing exactly what they did. But we had certain things in our lives that helped to protect us, to guide us, to direct us, to invest in us, to cheer for us, to make up for certain things that we didn't have in our lives. And so we have to be humble enough, and we have to be caring enough and compassionate enough to come alongside and support those efforts to bring our brothers and sisters out of the circumstances that they find themselves in, and to walk with them and to help them get on their feet and lead productive lives. It benefits all of us. My father used to say, we're caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. And what affects one directly affects all indirectly. And I cannot be all that I ought be until you are all that you ought be. And you cannot be all that you ought be until I am all that I ought be. That's the reality of the world we live in. That's what drove and defined the work that my father did. In his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos, a Community, he left us some very important blueprints. In 2013, Time magazine placed my dad on the cover. And this was the third time, I believe, that he had been placed on the cover, 2 in his lifetime, and maybe it was the 4th time. But this time, they had a caption that literally captivated my attention. The caption said, "Founding Father." Now, my father was not around when this country was founded. But spiritually, the work that he did and what he spoke to in our nation and calling us up to be who we said we were on paper, this individual felt qualified him to be a founding father. But that wasn't the most intriguing part for me. The subcaption said, "Architect of the 21st century." I want you to hear that. Now, when I first read it, this was 2013, I had just turned 50, so I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. And I looked at it again and I said, did they make an error? Architect of the 21st century. My father was 32 years shy of living in the 21st century. So it is true that he was a prophet, that he had foresight, that he could see way down the road. And what he left with us, literally, I believe, is the pathway to creating a more just, humane, and peaceful world. We call it Nonviolence 365 because although most people are familiar with the movement in terms of its demonstrations and its sit-ins and its freedom rides, most people don't know that it's a discipline. That behind the scenes, people were trained, they were educated, they were prepared in how to encounter conflict and in how to encounter your adversary, your opponent, your enemies, how to posture yourself, how to protect yourself, how to literally not be the inflictor of violence, even when it's been inflicted upon you. And that's very difficult, but they were extremely successful, I believe, in embracing that way of living. And many during that time only embraced it as a tactic to use in a social justice movement. But my father understood that it's so much more to this, that in times going forward, we were going to have to study nonviolence and experiment with it in every field of human conflict, including conflict between nations. Because the very thing that I just said about our interconnectedness is a reality. We now live in a worldwide neighborhood because of technology and even science. And so as he said in that book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, which was the last book that he penned, my father literally wrote and edited 6 books in his life, 3 of which talked about different aspects of the movement, and the other 3 which were a compilation of either his sermons and or speeches. And so in that last book, he told us we've inherited this world house. We have different cultures, different beliefs, different religions. And at the end of the day, we've got to figure out how to get along. And he said it like this: we must learn how to live together as brothers, and I add sisters, or together we will be forced to perish as fools. The key word is learn. And so all of us have to be in a process of being open to learning how to coexist, learning about other cultures and other belief systems and other ideologies, and finding a way for us to coexist in the space without feeling like we have to compromise some of our belief system. And that's where Nonviolence 365 comes into play. It gives us the tools. It gives us the ability to know how to manage those differences and create what we call a win-win scenario. I don't know about you, but in the world that we live in, we can no longer afford winners and losers. Everybody must win. And that's why we came here. We came here to come alongside of Ujamaa Place because we want them to win just as the rest of us in this room are winning. And so we are forming a partnership with them to help continue on this road because we want to make sure that this is a part of their DNA, that Nonviolence 365 is their lifestyle, that there are those in this community who will at some point be able to represent the King Center through these teachings as a trainer. That's what we want to do. And so I want to once again thank Otis and Monique for this opportunity. I want to thank my team for coming with me. Many of my team members don't directly work for the King Center, but they work for the King Center. We have educators. We have pastor and community leader. We have a hip-hop artist in our midst. We have a triple OG. For most of y'all don't know what triple OG is. But a gentleman who is a former founder, actually, of a set of the Crips, which is a gang, a historical gang in our nation, who has transformed and was connected several years ago after the Rodney King riots with the King Center. My mother and I and others traveled to California, invited them to Atlanta. And my mother literally adopted this gentleman, Charles Rachel, as her spiritual son. And so he has been with us since that time, and I think it was 92. Is that right, Charles? And so he's a part of our team. Let me see, who am I leaving? I said educators. Oh, and we have an expert who was formerly a captain in the St. Louis City Police Force. He came to us at the King Center years ago in the 80s, I believe the latter 80s. He came as a captain. I want you to hear that. He came to us as a captain with his badge and his gun at his side. But by the time he finished going through the process over several years, he transformed, retired, put the gun down, put the badge down, and is now one of the senior trainers in Nonviolence 365. He lives it, he eats it, he sleeps it. It is his life now. He believes it. And so he's been working with us for several years since I've been at the King Center as CEO, working with us in many of our trainings, and we've done a lot of work with law enforcement, and in particular in the metropolitan Atlanta area, and we're going to continue down that pathway trying to help to improve community and police relations, law enforcement relationships. And so, Charles, I just want to recognize you, especially if you would stand up. Charles Alphen. And I have to recognize this person because this person is my boss whenever I'm on the road, and I'm her boss whenever I'm back in Atlanta. She happens to be my best friend and my sister and works for me, so y'all pray for her. And she's a part of our team, and she helps to manage all of my business. Anytime I travel, any books that I do, she oversees that. And so I want to thank Delise Renee Drain for all of her support and everything that she did to arrange this trip to Minnesota. So thank you, Delise. If you'll stand up. And I want to thank Commissioner Carter for the proclamation she gave to us when we came on Monday. Was that Monday evening? I believe it was, when we visited. Where was that? Say that again. Union Gospel Mission. And I want to also especially thank the mayor of St. Paul, who didn't have to, but he did. Designating October 10th as Nonviolence 365 Day in St. Paul. That was incredible for us. My father just said it best. I could say it in my own words, but he said, we do still have a choice today. It's nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. And with everything going on to now in our nation, the polarization, the division, the tension between our country and North Korea and our leader and their leader, and so many other things, this way of thinking and way of acting is needed now more than ever before, and that's why my mother founded the King Center. I give her the credit, because when my father was assassinated, he was one of the most hated men in America. He had spoken out against the Vietnam War at a time when there were promises made about addressing the war on poverty. And because money was being diverted to this war, my father felt it necessary to speak up and speak out because of all of the social conditions that we had here at home. And he also felt it was an unjust war. We now know that Vietnam was a mistake, and he was right. Friends turned their back on him. People who work with him in the movement, other civil rights leaders, heads of the NAACP Urban League, condemned him publicly. But my mother, who had already been involved in the peace movement when she was at Antioch College in 1948, stood right by his side and said, "We need you in the peace movement. It needs your voice. And now is the time." There were other people encouraging him, few others. But when the one that decided that they would be with you till death do you part said, "I'm with you on this, come and we'll be together." You know what that does? You and the men in the room, you know what that does when a woman affirms you in that way. The courage it gives you, the strength it gives you. He said she was his strength throughout the process. She was not just a homemaker. She was not just there raising us as the kids, but she was literally managing a lot of balls. She was on many marches and demonstrations. She went out and raised money for SCLC doing freedom concerts because she was a concert singer. And so when he was assassinated with all of this hate, instead of being the kind of widow who was angry and bitter and vengeful, she decided to pray and ask God, what do I do now with what we've been doing? Not what do I do now that he's gone, But what do I do basically to continue what we've already been doing? And that's when God revealed to her about the King Center and institutionalizing the work that took place during the movement in the form of the King Center, as well as eventually the King Holiday. And so now he's one of the most loved men in the world, most revered men in the world, always at the top when you do any kind of poll about leadership, most influential, and he's deceased. Amazing. And I'm humbled and honored to be his daughter, his offspring. The one he spoke about, one of the ones he spoke about when he said, I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I can say, in some respects, I am judged by the content of my character, but in other respects, I'm not. So we've got a lot of work to do. And there are 3 types of people in the world to do this. They're those who sit on the sideline and watch things that happen. They're the few that get involved and make things happen, and then they're the overwhelming majority who don't know what happened. Please don't be the latter. I encourage you to be those who get involved and make things happen. And so in closing, I want to let you know that I brought some things with me, some products that you can take, that I encourage you to take. There are things of my father's writings that I will sign for you. Now, they're not free. I'm not at that stage yet. But very important books and other items that we have with us, and I'm going to be out there signing them in just a few moments after the program. But I leave you with a story that I think is so important and apropos for here. I tell it a lot of places because I think it's essentially where we are and what we have to get. It's about a man and a woman that passed away, and an angel came and visited them and took them to a kingdom on one side of the universe. And there they saw this huge banquet table with foods laid out in a lot of different places. There was even a section where they had sprouts and portobello mushroom and tofu for the vegans, the vegetarians at the feast. They said the food was so good that your tongue would just go crazy sitting at the feast. But there was something peculiar and strange in this kingdom because the people at the feast, they were frail. There was little mobility of limbs. There was no joy being exuded. And so the man and the woman said, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the angel said, there's one law in the entire universe. And that angel rushed them off quickly to the other side of the universe, to another kingdom. They saw the same exact banquet table, foods laid out in the same exact ways. But the people were very different. They were lively, they were exuberant, they were joyous, and they had mobility of limbs. And the man and the woman said, whoa, wait a minute, what is the difference in these 2 kingdoms? And the angel said, there's just one law in the entire universe. But he went on to explain, this is the law. You must use the utensils provided by the management. But these utensils were 10 feet long, 10 feet, forks, knives, and spoons. And the angel went on to say, you see, in that first kingdom where the food was laid out and was so delicious, and the people couldn't really enjoy it, and they were not joyous, and they were not excited, and they were not uplifted, and there was no laughter, and there was no mobility of limbs. They took those 10 feet utensils and they sought to feed themselves, and they were literally starving to death. The angel said, look, you see, in that second kingdom where there's mobility of limb, where there's forward moving progress, where the people are joyous, excited, exuberant, happy, and there's a lot of laughter, they took the same 10 feet utensils, but they decided to reach across the table and feed each other. So if I can say anything to you here in St. Paul and Minneapolis, just walk together, children, and don't get weary. Work together, children, and do not get weary. Hold on to each other together, children. Do not get weary. And I always tell people, fuss, fight, but get over it together, children, and do not get weary. But you can't forget to pray together, children, and because you will get weary. And one day, we'll all be able to be at the place where we can stand confident and declare, as Dr. King said, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last from those things that would hold me back and hold me down. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. King. Thank you so much for delivering a stirring message for us this morning. And to think that she stayed an extra day just to be a part of this breakfast, and it's a tremendous blessing. To be obedient to time, of your time that you think with us today, I want you to know that we have added a lot of our Ujamaa men are here. And if you don't get a chance to interact with them today, I highly encourage you to stop by our office. Check out their stories. Powerful stories of transformation and stories that you made possible. I just want to thank you. And I thank you so much again, Dr. King, for delivering that message to us. It's been said by Dr. King that our society, with the ills it has, it breaks your legs. And on the backside, we punish you for being a cripple. I like that saying because it sums up the kind of story that we like to have for the Ujamaa men and their story and their avenue for transformation. We have a quick video we'd like to show you that states the need and why we exist and why 7 years ago our founding board members got together and created the Ujamaa Place. Could I direct your attention to the screen, please?
Since 1980, the number of people incarcerated in America has increased from 500,000 to over 2 million, and justice has not been blind. African Americans are incarcerated at more than 5 times the rate of whites. Only 1 out of every 17 white males can expect to go to prison in his lifetime. For African American males, the odds are 1 in 3. A myth of the criminality of black men would have you believe they are in prison for good reason. The truth is that African American men suffer multiple barriers to becoming stable, productive members of the community. These barriers include lack of education, unemployment, homelessness, addiction, and being marginalized by society. Not only could the money spent on mass incarceration, over $80 billion, be put to better use, but these glaring disparities in the application of justice have severe consequences for the nation as a whole. Mass incarceration is not sustainable, and the evidence does not support the theory that harsh punishments effectively reduce crime or recidivism rates. Here in St. Paul, Minnesota, we're interrupting the flow of these young African American men into the prison pipeline and the criminal justice system. Ujamaa Place mentors young black men to break through inequity in our unjust communities. We show our young black men ways to navigate the results of incarceration. We engage these young men in becoming stronger, more responsible, employed, prosperous men and fathers who contribute positively to their families and community. Approximately 1,500 African American men have been enrolled at Ujamaa Place since 2010. Nearly all have been involved in the criminal justice system. Most of them do not have a high school diploma. Many are homeless with little chance of employment. Almost all have lost their driver's license. Given these circumstances, could anyone expect to succeed in our society? Ujamaa Place stabilizes men's lives through education, jobs, housing, and community development. And we've served 345 men in the last 12 months, an increase of 212% over the previous year. All are offered job skills training for successful employment. 90% are employed each month, and the data shows they're keeping these jobs. 81% are retained in employment. They've increased their education level, live in safe housing, and their recidivism rate is only 2%. Compare that to the national average, 74%. A wilder return on investment analysis suggests a return of almost $6 for every dollar invested in Ujamaa Place, as well as an estimated net gain for society of approximately $3.4 million during 2015. You can help us break down systemic racism across our community in the East Metro and beyond. You can help us redefine young African American men's concept of themselves, manhood, success, and positive community values.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite a good friend of mine who is also one of our founders, as well as serves on our board of directors and chair of our advancement committee. Please join me in welcoming Reverend David Van Dyke.
Thank you, Otis, and thank you all for being here this morning. You know, when they bring the preacher up, it's time for the shakedown. And it's my honor to be able to ask you for your money. And as I look around this room, I know that there is a lot of money in this room. There are also a lot of people of goodwill and good character who always want to do the right thing and be good citizens. This breakfast is about coming together, introducing you to Ujamaa, to some of the men, and providing you with an opportunity to be generous and to be gracious and to open up your checkbooks and to share your gifts with Ujamaa Place and help transform the lives of men. I can think of no other organization that I've been involved with where I know my personal giving has a direct impact on transforming lives in a bold and powerful and radical way. And that's what your gifts will do. We're grateful to the Anderson Foundation for a $55,000 challenge grant toward this event. So know that your gifts will multiply. And as table captains distribute those envelopes, that would be great. You know, the video that we just saw reveals the harsh reality that we all know exists. And we all know what exists here in Minnesota in terms of racial disparities. That's not a secret. It's not something any of us are proud of. We're well aware of that situation. Giving to Ujamaa is a way of helping address that, of doing something about that, of standing with the Ujamaa men, most of whom have experienced things that most of us in this room not only haven't experienced, but frankly can't imagine. This is an important work. It's not easy work, but it's fundamental work to the good of our community and our society and ultimately our brothers, our Ujamaa men. So I'm not ashamed to ask you for money. In fact, I'd like you to consider giving more than what you're thinking right now, because you know you can. And this organization is so worthy and deserving of your support. I have been so proud to serve on this board from the beginning and to be a part of this program and then to see come to fruition something like this today. It truly is remarkable. And as a board member who has seen and witnessed the transformation of men's lives, I too have experienced transformation in my own life through the Ujamaa men and hearing their stories and getting to know them. So it's an honor for me to be a part of this. Please fill out your checks and put those in the envelopes and pass those back to your table captains. And again, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, David. And again, it would be just an honor for me again just to acknowledge you again, to thank all of you for coming out and joining us this morning and witnessing the Ujamaa story. At this time, I'd like to invite my sister back up to the mic. Sister Vita Steele, just have a closing song for us. And then also again, just acknowledge and thank Dr. King. As being a true minister, she stretched 5 minutes into 30. They can't help themselves, but we appreciate her energy and her drive to do so. And again, as she mentioned, that she's giving some of her time. She's in the back of the room, ready to sign books if you choose to do so. Again, on behalf of the Ujamaa family, which includes my wonderful staff, the development team, board of directors, and all of our army of volunteers, thank you. Ms. Javita Steele.
To write your checks out. That was the first time I've ever been stopped from writing my check to get up and sing. Said I will wait. If you feel like it, sing along with me. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of the new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Last one. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. True to our God, true to our God.